The flickering flames of a single torch cast dancing shadows on the cold stone walls. Justice throughout history has not always been fair or humane. From ancient empires to medieval courts, humanity has devised horrifying ways to punish the condemned. Today we venture into this unsettling realm, peeling back the layers of time to examine the top 10 worst methods of execution ever recorded. Viewer discretion is advised. Journey back with me to the heart of the Roman Empire, a civilization known for its might, its laws, and its ruthlessness. Crucifixion, a punishment reserved for slaves, rebels, and the empire's most despised criminals, stands as a chilling testament to man's capacity for cruelty. Imagine the scene: condemned individuals stripped bare and beaten, forced to carry their own cross through the jeering crowds. Upon reaching the execution site, they were nailed or tied to the wooden timbers, their arms outstretched as if pleading for mercy that would never come. Death did not come swiftly in this barbaric spectacle. Victims lingered for hours, even days, their bodies racked with unimaginable pain. Crucifixion was more than just a death sentence. It was a meticulously orchestrated performance of suffering. From the sun-drenched hills of ancient Rome, we travel eastward to the shadow of the Carpathian Mountains, to a land steeped in folklore and terror. Here in the 15th century, Vlad III, known as Vlad the Impaler, ruled Wallachia with an iron fist. Impalement, the method of execution that cemented Vlad's gruesome legacy, was a spectacle of unimaginable cruelty. A sharpened wooden stake, sometimes oiled for easier passage, was driven through the victim's body, often entering through the rectum or vagina and exiting through the mouth, chest, or shoulders. The stake was then hoisted upright, leaving the victim suspended in mid-air. Vlad's forest of the impaled served as a chilling testament to his reign and a stark warning to any who contemplated crossing him. Few punishments throughout history can match the sheer visceral horror of flaying, the removal of skin from a living body. This ancient practice, recorded in chilling detail on Assyrian reliefs, served not only as a form of capital punishment but also as a terrifying spectacle designed to instill fear and obedience. Using sharp knives or even shells, the executioner would meticulously peel away the skin, often working from the limbs inward, prolonging the agony. The pain, unimaginable to us today, would have been excruciating, every nerve ending exposed to the air. Flaying served not merely as a punishment, but as a chilling message, a stark reminder of the absolute power of the Assyrian kings. The flayed skins of their enemies were often displayed prominently on city walls, a gruesome tapestry of terror meant to quell any hint of rebellion. From the heart of the ancient world, we journey to the jungles and palaces of Southeast Asia, a region where elephants played a unique and terrifying role in the theater of execution. For centuries, elephants, trained to obey their handlers' every command, were used to execute criminals in a public spectacle that showcased both the might of the rulers and the terrible consequences of transgression. Imagine the scene: a condemned prisoner, bound and trembling, led into an arena before the king and his court. With a simple command from its handler, the elephant would then lower itself onto the victim, crushing bones, pulverizing flesh, and extinguishing life in an instant. Execution by elephant was not merely about death, it was about sending a message. The flickering flames of a bonfire illuminate the night, casting eerie shadows that dance upon the faces of the gathered crowd. Burning at the stake, a method of execution inextricably linked with the witch hunts and heresy trials that swept across Europe, remains one of history's most chilling spectacles. Victims, often accused of witchcraft, heresy, or treason, were tied to a stake and surrounded by piles of dry wood. As the flames roared skyward, engulfing their bodies in a searing embrace, the condemned faced a horrific death. Death, when it finally came, was a merciful release from the unimaginable agony. In the annals of human cruelty, few punishments match the sheer brutality of sawing, a method of execution designed not only to kill but to inflict the maximum possible suffering. Practiced in various forms across ancient and medieval societies, from Persia to Europe, sawing stands as a chilling testament to man's capacity for barbarity. The condemned individual, stripped and suspended upside down, their head secured between two posts. The executioner, wielding a large two-handed saw, begins his gruesome work, slowly cutting through the victim's body, often starting at the groin. This inverted positioning maximized the torment, ensuring that blood flow to the brain remained relatively consistent, prolonging consciousness and with it the excruciating pain. It was a public spectacle of terror, designed to instill fear in the hearts of witnesses and reinforce the absolute power of those who meted out such punishments. Chapter 7. The Brazen Bull, a symphony of screams. In the sun-drenched land of ancient Greece, where art, philosophy, and democracy flourished, there existed a darker side, a capacity for cruelty as sophisticated and chilling as any other civilization. The Brazen Bull, a bronze sculpture designed for both torture and execution, stands as a chilling testament to this darker aspect of the Greek psyche. Imagine, if you will, a hollow bronze statue crafted in the shape of a bull, its nostrils flared, its eyes seemingly alive with malice. Condemned individuals were ushered into the bull through a door in its flank. Once sealed inside, a fire was lit beneath the bronze belly, slowly heating the metal until it glowed red-hot. As the temperature inside the bull rose to an inferno, the victim's screams, muffled by the metal, were transformed into a grotesque symphony of moans and cries. Chapter 8. Scaphism, the slow bite of death. In the annals of human history, certain civilizations have earned a grim reputation for their ruthlessness, for the sheer ingenuity of their cruelty. Scaphism, an ancient Persian method of execution, stands as a chilling testament to this dark legacy. A condemned individual, stripped naked, is bound inside a hollowed-out log or between two narrow boats, their head and limbs protruding from the openings. The victim's exposed flesh is then coated in a mixture of milk and honey, a gruesome feast designed to attract insects. Slowly, methodically, these creatures begin to feed, their bites growing increasingly painful as the victim's skin, baked by the sun, becomes the breeding ground for maggots. Death, when it finally came, was a merciful release from the unimaginable agony, but it was a slow and agonizing process. Chapter 9. The Traitor's End, Hanging, Drawing, and Quartering. In the heart of medieval England, a chilling spectacle of brutality unfolded before the eyes of the crowd. This was not a mere execution, it was a meticulously orchestrated performance of suffering reserved for those deemed the most vile of criminals, traitors to the crown. The condemned, stripped of their dignity and often dragged through the streets to the execution site, faced a fate far worse than death. First came the hanging, but death was not the goal here. The victim was hoisted aloft, the rope carefully calibrated to prevent a swift demise. Instead, they were left to dangle, their airway constricted, slowly suffocating as the crowd looked on. Chapter 10. Broken on the Wheel, a fate worse than death. In the tapestry of medieval Europe, woven with threads of piety, chivalry, and brutality, few punishments evoked such primal terror as the breaking wheel, also known as the Catherine wheel. Condemned individuals, stripped bare and bound to the wheel's rim, faced a slow and agonizing demise. The executioner, wielding a heavy iron hammer or club, would then systematically shatter the victim's bones, working their way from the legs and arms inwards. In some cases, the victim, their bones reduced to splinters, their body a mangled mess, was then woven into the spokes of the wheel and left on public display. As we emerge from this exploration of history's darkest corners, the weight of what we have witnessed lingers. These punishments, as barbaric and inhumane as they seem to us today, were not aberrations but rather grim reflections of their time. While we may recoil in horror at these practices, let us not turn away. For history, even at its most disturbing, holds valuable lessons. Let the memory of these atrocities serve as a reminder of our capacity for both good and evil. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more historical content.